Transcription number 23, volume number 2, 840 words at the rate 100 words per minute. Be ready? Start. Madam Deputy Chairman, when the House rose for lunch, I was discussing the response of the public to the loan program of the government and was trying to point out that it was rather a serious tendency in the sense that the response of the public had been proved to be poorer during the second plan period than during the first plan period. I was trying to point out that looking to the fact that the national income was rising and the people were becoming more conscious of a developing economy and the need to mobilize the resources more and more, a contrary trend ought to have appeared, and that in view of that this trend was disturbing. This trend is to be contrasted with the trend of the public regarding the call from the corporate sector for the investment of their monies. Here we find that the shares of some of the new companies or of the old companies that the issuing new shares are oversubscribed at times to the extent of 15 times the capital that has been asked for by the companies. So here are two pictures. One, the picture of the government asking the public to subscribe to the public loans, and the other, the picture of the response of the public to the corporate sector demanding investments from the public. While on the one hand there is an enthusiastic response to the demand from the corporate sector, on the other there is a very poor response is as far as loan program of the government is concerned. This is a matter of some concern, and I feel that the government should pay more attention than just exhorting the people to save more and to hand over their savings to the government, as the honorable finance minister has done more than once. If it would have been merely a question of rediverting the money that is coming from the corporate sector to the public exchequer in the form of loans, perhaps the matter would not have been so serious. Then it would have been just a question of reallocation of the functions between the public sector and the private sector. But I feel that there is a large amount of money which is just changing to some lucrative channel, and that explains why the response to the demand from the corporate sector is 15 times. This shows that 14 times that particular capital is not required by that company, and if there had been some adequate step or measures whereby originally that money could have gone to the public exchequer. To that extent, there would not have been any disappointment to the people who wanted shares but who did not get them, and disappointment to the public exchequer by not getting the response which it ought to have got. That, to my mind, leads to the question of the pattern of the rate of interest in a developing economy, and especially in view of the fact that a large number of companies are being floated today which have got an element of growth in them, thereby attracting so much capital towards them. The government of India will have to take into consideration the question of the rate pattern of interest on their loans and to see whether something could not be done whereby the public will be attracted to a large extent towards their loan program than hitherto. It has appeared in the press that the question of supply and want is being reconsidered and that offers are sought to be made more attractive. If in the same strain the entire question of the loan program is also considered, it may be possible that these loans are also might be made more attractive and thereby more capital, which is today just changing the channels of profitable employment might be diverted to the public sector in the form of public loans. Then there is the question of the state governments performing their part which has been assigned to them during the third plan period. In this connection, I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable House to a very important recommendation which has been made by the Third Finance Commission, namely the appointment of a high power commission to go into the entire question of the allocation of financial resources between the central government and the state governments. They have argued the whole case in nearly 1.5 pages in order to show why it has now become necessary that a high power commission should be appointed to go into this important question. According to the Third Finance Commission, the allocation of resources between the center and the states was made at a time when planned economic development was not visualized when the constitution was framed. The development of the public sector, the new responsibilities which the states were going to assume and a plan era were not pro- properly visualized, and it was under these conditions that these allocations were being made. Full stop. Next exercise 24. Madam Deputy Chairman, I rise to support the bill which has been moved by the Honorable Minister of State in the Ministry of Home Affairs. This bill incorporates certain sentiments which the country holds so dear as far as the office of President is concerned and also incorporates the faith of the people in themselves that when they will elect a president, the person who would be occupying the high post would be a person who would have not only the love and affection of the people but would be, as the Honorable Minister pointed out, a dedicated politician whose life is dedicated to the service of the nation. Before he became the president, during his occupation of the office of president, and even after he retired from that office. It is this confidence of the people in themselves and the high love and affection which they hold for this office which have resulted in this particular bill being considered by the House at the present moment. The Honorable Minister has pointed out that the President who has just retired has fulfilled all the requirements which are the basis of this particular measure, and the measure which was passed in 1951. I wish that he had mentioned the last Governor General also, to whom both the measures apply, whether we may agree or may not agree with the last Governor General. Some of the political views that he holds, there can be no two opinions that the sun and is an illustrious son of this country and deserves all the consideration, all the love, and all respect of the country, which are being incorporated in the present measure and were incorporated in the 1951 Act. While therefore fully supporting like certain clarifications regarding the rules that are going to be made for giving effect to the provisions which have been incorporated in the present bill. In the statement of objects and reasons, we are told that a person holding the high office of president has, even after retirement, many public calls on him, and it is therefore considered desirable to provide him with secretariat staff. It is further stated that the bill provides for a staff which may be engaged for the president. Staff might be appointed for him and office space might be provided for him. It is because of this that certain misgivings have arisen in the minds of some of the members and they want it to be made perfectly clear that the staff will be appointed not only for the ex-president but will be appointed by the ex-president and it will be his wishes and his desires that will be taken into account when a particular person is being appointed. Also regarding the office which is engaged for him, his wishes should be taken into account so that he knows with would be in a convenient place for him and he may to get that place. Another reason for insisting on what I consider to be an important detail is that if the government appoints the staff for the ex-president, then automatically they become government servants because they have been appointed by the government. It may be that in the rules a clarification might be attempted whereby they may be exempted from some of the service conduct rules which are applicable to normal government servants. But even there, it will be much better that this should not be left in any doubt and that these persons should that are appointed to assist the ex-president in his secretarial task are appointed by the ex-president himself and would not be appointed by the government for the ex-president and would not be government servants. This point ought to be made quite clear so that the ex-president has got all the right of determining the service conditions of the people appointed by him, of course subject to the overall limit which has been provided and to my mind rightly provided in the bill. Within that overall limit, perhaps it will be much better to leave the rest of the matter to the president himself so that we may also express our further confidence in the president to the effect that he would utilize it with discre- discretion and with all sense of responsibility and fair play and taking into account the interest of the public and to of the public exchequer too. Another point which also needs some clarification is regarding the payment to be made for the secretarial assistants and for the secretarial staff. Normally government rules require that whenever any such demand is made on the public exchequer or on the consolidated fund of India, a certain formality has to be gone through and that formality of accounting has to be in a prescribed form. Full stop.